Jazzcast Pros.
Welcome to another episode of Getting Real with Bossy with Kelly and
Kelly.
Today we're interviewing Nyeshia Gibson of Saving AJ.
So at least 3 hours, just so you know. 3 hours at least is needed just for you. Like, that's so important. So what, the kids go to school, but we're in work. Then when they're home, it's more work because raising children is work.
Right.
So there has to be a balance between work life and being a mom.
Hey ladies, do you own your own business or are you considering starting your own?
Are you craving connection and are ready to feel seen? It's time to get real about what it takes to make it as a woman business owner.
My name is Kelly Bush.
And I'm Kelly Metris.
And we're the hosts of Getting Real with Bossy, the podcast that unites and educates women business owners through real, raw, and honest conversations.
Not a light interview.
It's not light. Definitely want to put a trigger warning on this.
Trigger warning on some heavy topics.
We're going to be discussing mental health. We're going to be discussing postpartum depression, and we are going to be discussing the loss of a young life. So
all of the above.
That is not for you. You may want to sit this one out or skip through the first 10 minutes and then join in, because Nyeshia's story is really important and we want everybody to hear it, but we want you to be prepared. So here it goes.
Thank you to Jazzy at Jazzcast Pros.
Right. Always thank you to
Always
Jazzy.
Thank you to Jazzy for putting this together. Enjoy.
I only cried twice, I think.
I cried twice.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Getting Real with Bossy. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Nyeshia.
Hi, Kelly.
We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Yes.
So tell us what Saving AJ is first.
Yeah, so Saving AJ, it comes from my little cousin AJ. He was killed by his mom, and definitely mental health issues there. So I think it's very important for me to have created a safe space for other moms who are going through like postpartum or mental health. Because before something happened, there's like signs and warnings, and like, I'm going to tell you something. There's people, I'm not to say moms, there's people who go through mental health and doesn't even know that it's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
They don't stigmatize, which is cool. People don't want to put the label on things, fine. But it's something as simple as you're not doing your daily tasks. You're not bathing your children on a regular basis because you're tired. That's still a form of something, because actually that is an obligation. You have to clean your children. They can get infections. They can catch rashes. Like, all those things are like, but to the average person, they've gone so long with not cleaning their home and leaving toys a mess and clothes over and laundry piled up for months. And to them, it's completely normal. So until you have someone outside step in, like, hey, let's wash all your clothes. Once you wash all your clothes in your home, you feel better. I don't care what no one says. You're going to feel better. You're removing all that stuff out of your home, clutter. Some people live in hoarder and all those things, and it's fine. But it still comes from somewhere. It comes from a place, even maybe lack. You know, Some people grow up without having things, so they want things and they hold on to it dearly tight. Like, this can be replaced. Give me this dial. It's broke. Here's a new one. But there are attachment issues. So all those things are things that we have to, notice. And when you notice it, kind of like be of service, because not everyone even sees their mental health as mental health. I'm like, girl, you're going through it. You're going to tell me you never went through depression? You are clearly depressed. Like, you've been in bed for weeks. You haven't showered. You haven't eaten. Those are all signs, but they become habit and
coping mechanisms
and masking and all those things. So moms shouldn't have to, for one, raise children just on their own. Everyone needs a support system. And just to be honest, like, back in the day, like years ago, there was like a village. We used to drop our children off to grandma's. We used to be able to go to work. There was no such thing as childcare and fees. Like, you had all the kids at one house sleeping on the floors, on the couches. Like, it really existed. Somehow, moving forward, it became a division, and everyone's like just worrying about them and their household and their families, which I get it is important, but we used to make room. Now when someone asks for help, even in our own ways, we see it and it's like, oh, it's a task or it's a job.
Yeah.
And before it was like unspoken. Like kids used to just come over and just come in the house and, hey, well, I'll be back. And it was just normal for families to be able to parent, work, go to school, and just have time. I remember my mom used to always like be in the bars and stuff, and we were at grandma's and we weren't like neglected and not worrying about like, you know, those weird things that now families do. So saving AJ to me is really important because I'm like, everyone needs a village. We need to create a space where parents can bring the children without them having to worry about being overburdened, overwhelmed. And I feel like there's 24 hours in a day. So at least 3 hours, just so you know. 3 hours at least is needed just for you. Like, that's so important. So what, the kids go to school, but we're in work. Then when they're home, it's more work because raising children is work.
Right.
So there has to be some kind of balance, you know, between work life and being a mom, even if that means dropping the children off to the nursery and you going home preparing dinner. Like, think about preparing dinner without kids everywhere. It's just so unspoken. I'm like, this is not cool. Like,
or grocery shopping.
You can't even take a shower in peace. You're yelling in the shower, what's going on? And, you know, why is she crying? Like, it's just really weird that parents are really left to just figure it out. And some people always like target like single moms. Married couples need breaks too. Like, it doesn't really, actually, I think is more stressful in a marriage because it's like, there's more priorities, there's more needs, if you ask me, as far as the husband working and the wife working, and then the children is like one person feeling like they're more responsible than the other or showing up. So like I try and remove the single mom thing because like
it's a whole relationship.
Yeah.
So it's another relationship you have to tend to.
Exactly.
So it's less hours of the day you have to tend to another relationship in your life.
Right.
Literally.
And I think that 3 hours, I think that's so important. But that can make, well, especially talking about mental health, that 3 hours can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Getting that time.
And 3 hours once a week.
Knowing that it's coming.
Yeah. Like if I had 3 hours once a week to myself to do whatever I wanted and not have like, I have to get these things done in this 3 hours.
It's just needed. And I was, you know, trying to speak to hospitals because I remember I went through postpartum 5 years ago. And this is what kind of like sparked me to go like, oh shoot. Like I had this weird thought. Like I was literally just driving one day in a car with my children and I was just driving. And I thought about what happened if I turn the car over the bridge? Like it was a real thought. And I'm like, I can't tell nobody this. I can't say this out loud. They're going to think I'm crazy. So I'm like, but I knew when I thought it, I'm like, I would never do that. But the fact that it was a thought. Not everyone can think something and not, you know, be as strong to just brush it off, you know. So I went to the doctors and I'm like, you know, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to ask for help. I'm not going to try and hide it because I was actually scared that I thought it. So I'm like, okay, I made an appointment. I went to my doctors and she was like, oh yeah, this is postpartum. So I'm like, so how do I get help and what do I do? And then she's like, well, they gave me a list of resources, like a bunch of paperwork. As soon as I seen it, I got overwhelmed.
Right.
Just seeing the follow-ups and the appointments and therapy and the counseling.
Like, just give me one number.
Right.
I want to call one number and you're going to tell me how to fix this. You already have enough on your plate with a newborn because usually postpartum's in like the beginning stages.
So I was like, okay, so I felt overwhelmed. I'm like, I need a break. And they were like, oh, reach out to childcare counsel. Then go to childcare counsel. I'm like, well, are you working? Are you in school? I'm like, no, because I'm going through postpartum. So I'm medically removed. So I'm not working. So can I get daycare? I need a break. They're like, oh, you have to be working in school. And I'm like, you have to be working or in school. I'm going through mental health issues here. Like,
You're
like
advocating for yourself and trying to do what you need to do for your children.
And it's not like I don't want to work. My doctor said I couldn't work.
Yeah.
And you're just getting barrier after barrier after barrier.
So then I was just forced to sit home, going through postpartum, with a crying baby. And I was just like, you know what? I really wrote a post on Facebook because I was so overwhelmed. I was like fully transparent. I feel like this is what I'm going through. Am I the only one? And from that post, like so many shares, so many comments. And I'm like, looking at the peoples and where they're from, we're all in Rochester. I'm like, wait, so like, you mean to tell me thousands of people, parents, are experiencing this? That made me feel better because then I didn't feel crazy. I actually felt like, okay, so you're not the only one. I was afraid to speak about it.
Right.
But I was also afraid to hide it and cover it up. Because I'm like, well, what if something goes wrong and you could have got help and someone could have been of service or, you know? So I just thought advocating was just the most important thing. So from everyone reaching out and sending inboxes and messages, I formed a call center where we can talk to each other through the call center. And the call center went from one thing at home, going through postpartum with the kids.
So hang on. So you started the call center while you were actively seeking help for postpartum for yourself.
Yes, I did.
Did it help?
It helped because what it started out is other moms sharing and feeling how they were feeling about it. And we were able to like give each other like pointers and tips. And we started meeting at the library so we can like, you know, do stuff, have the kids play. So it just became like, it was different. It wasn't like we were reaching to someone who didn't understand what we were going through. So you didn't have to explain what you were going through because all you kept hearing is, I get it. I understand. Like, and I'm like, that is so much different than talking to someone who only knows this stuff from textbook talk.
Right.
And they're reading me like verbiage that I don't even understand. I'm like, okay, this is helpful. This is actually stressful. I used to run out of therapy crying. Like, that was overwhelming. Like, that was just Q&A.
Well, then they tell you have to immediately love your baby. And if you don't immediately love your baby, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, but then
I don't love all my babies now.
Oh my God, think about this. No, seriously, think about this.
No, I love them all. I don't like them all the time.
Listen, think about this, right? Think about you're going through postpartum. Everything looks ugly. Everything feels bad.
None of your clothes fit. You're breaking out. Your hair starts falling out.
Listen, all of those things. Oof. And then you just have this crying baby, right?
And your boobs are spewing milk. Either you're breastfeeding or not, they're spewing milk.
Which, by the way.
And engorging.
Which, by the way, I had a very supportive father of my child. Very supportive. It was like overbearing that he was supportive. Because it's like he was trying to be helpful. And he was trying to be there, but it was like I was just angry and mad that I was going through something that I couldn't express. So actually him being around, I just wanted him to be away.
Right.
Because like I didn't want him to see me a certain way or experience me a certain way or judge me. I'm looking like, I don't want to be around you. Just go away.
There's like the pressure of like, well, do you think we're going to like touch again? Because nothing's touching this.
All of that.
There's already too many things touching this.
No, breastfeeding. Oh my God. Breastfeeding took me out. Like I just couldn't even go to sleep in peace. I'm like,
they're like, oh, it's your 6-week appointment. And you're like, no, it ain't.
Everything. So when we started that, I realized that through sharing and trying to help moms, I forgot that I was even going through postpartum in a way. And like I was already healing through the process.
Right.
And didn't even realize that I was healing because I was so focused on making sure other moms stayed strong. So I'm like, well, if you're not going to be strong for you, there's so many people now who reaches out to you like around the clock just for a quick chat. So you have to like be strong. And so I started doing things with my baby and recording it and then sending it to the mom so they can like, you know, a proper bath or a feeding or what do you do when you're tired and learning how to use the boppy and still go to sleep while feeding. Like there's so many things like we were sharing and,
I didn't know that. That's beautiful.
Well, and I think a sense in mental health in general, when you're at your lowest and postpartum is really when you're at your lowest.
Yeah.
A sense of purpose is the main thing that a good therapist is going to try to get you to find. And you found that organically and you didn't even know it was happening.
I didn't even realize it was happening.
So you were actually your own kind of, you doing your own therapy. You just didn't realize it.
Exactly. So
you have 3 kids. So was this your 3rd baby?
Nope, my first daughter. My second one.
Your second baby?
Yep, she's 5 now. So I gave it about a year of just doing the whole call center. Then when I felt like I was really healed from it and going back into work, COVID happened. So because COVID happened, I'm like, oh, well, great. Now I'm already in Vibrant. Kids aren't in school. I'm like, I'm going to go back into depression. Like, this is crazy. I was just in house arrest
right?
like, for this whole time. And then COVID happens. Everyone's like freaking out. Then you seen parents speaking out about needing to go to work, but not having daycares because daycares wasn't even scared to be around kids. And I'm like, all right, so I'm home and I'm not doing anything. We can't do anything. And they were saying it was not safe. Like they were saying, oh, even on holidays, don't go around your family. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah, the last thing we need is more isolation. It was so hard.
But everyone was actually like doing it and like staying home and just contact the families through phones. I'm like, no, this is not normal. I'm sorry, if we're gonna die, like I'm gonna die in peace. So if you're telling us like no matter what, it could be in the food, it could be in the water, so many rumors going on.
They were just like, we don't know, you're gonna die.
You get it? So I'm like, okay.
Don't go near anyone, you're gonna die.
So I'm like, all right, so let's do this the right way. Let's do the charity. Let's give back, be a servant. And that was interesting because I actually revamped my whole house and painted the walls like chalkboard paint. Because the first thing I thought about, a bunch of little kids, they're going to be writing on walls and coloring. And I wanted therapeutic things like painting. So I'm like, all right. So I threw out my dining room table. My kids like, where are we going to eat? I'm like, on the floor. Like, I ate on the floor.
And you could write about it on your chalkboard wall.
No, see, I threw out my huge dining room table, put it outside. And my son was like, so now where are we going to eat? I'm like, well, any other time you want to eat in your room, like, don't complain about it. Like, the table never even affected you. Right. So it just was weird. I had to get rid of my sofas just to make more room in the living room and have just one little section. It was, so I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, are you really revamping your home, to make more space? And I was just thinking community. The kids are going to need somewhere to go.
You were thinking village.
There you go. And after going through the postpartum, I thought AJ and his mom. I'm like, oh my God, like, until you actually realize what it is and, you won't understand. There's no point in trying to understand postpartum to someone who does not have children. I'm going to be honest about that.
Well, it's like a lot of things, like migraines. Like I had a migraine yesterday and people are like, oh, here's some headache remedies. And I'm like, no, it's a migraine. It's not a headache. Like, if I just had a headache, I'd be fine. Like I literally can't open my eyes and I can't see and like sound and light, but it's one of those things, right? Like or night terrors. My daughter had night terrors and I thought I knew what night terrors were until she had one. And I was like, oh hell no, that's not a nightmare. Like, you're like, to anyone I ever said I knew what a night terror was, I'm sorry. No, so there's things like that until you go through it, you know what it is. But not everybody has experience. And a lot of people that have had kids don't have postpartum or say they didn't have
or think they did because that's their reference and they don't really.
Right. And it's like everyone's tired and depressed after they have a baby, but not everybody thinks about driving their car off a bridge.
What I realized was like, all right, looking outside, I kept feeling like, oh, no one's going to help me. I'm going through this alone. I had to look outside of what I was used to. Because I'm like, well, it makes sense now why no one can help me because everyone who I'm looking for help with needs help themselves. Yeah. Like, no, seriously. And when you're talking to people, they're like, oh, that's so messed up. I feel bad for you. I'm looking like, what? And I used to get angry by like friends or family, like, oh, and I'm like, what do you mean? This is not okay. But to them, it's like, oh, I went through that when I was younger. I know how that feels.
Tough it up. We all go through it.
Yeah, no. So I looked outside of that, what, maybe looks like me more culturally. And then people who stepped outside. This is the funniest thing. So I used to think that Black people who didn't relate or understand where I came from, I'm like, oh, they think they're better than, us, or they're uppity, or they're what do you call it? Like Oreos. Like, oh, they're white, Black on the outside.
Is that still a thing?
No, seriously, because I'm like,
term?
It is.
Okay. I remember from growing up, but I haven't heard you say it in a really long time.
No, I get so mad. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like, you're Black like me. How dare you? However, it all makes sense now. It really depends on where you are in life mentally, how you process things, how you perceive things. You start to open up and you expand.
Hey, y'all. I'm Erica Sorbello, and I'm the owner as well as the stylist at Gallery Salon, located at 4 Elton Street in the neighborhood of the Arts in Rochester, New York. We specialize in everything from lived-in hair color to vivid creations, haircuts, wedding hair and makeup, structured manicures, gel extensions, and the best nail art in the city. We work closely with Rochester artists and makers to carry an array of handmade goodies for you to shop from. Gallery Salon is proud to offer gender-neutral pricing, and we are a certified LGBTQ+ safe zone. Our space and staff are welcoming and down to earth. We know you'll be comfortable to come as you are and celebrate your individuality at Gallery Salon. You can find us at galleryhair.com and Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 585-271-8340, or better yet, swing by and meet us and see what we're about. Gallery Salon, located at 4 Elton Street in the neighborhood of the Arts in Rochester, New York.
Live it, love it, lime it with Selena's Mexican restaurant at the Village Gate. Come for the food, stay for the fun. Become a part of Selena's family. Selena's offers daily specials, happy hour at the bar, and catering, plus dietary menus for celiac, vegan, and vegetarian guests. When you're on the west side, grab a quick bite at the new Selena's Taqueria Grease, 745 Maiden Lane in the Tops Plaza. Find out more at selenas.com, SALENAS.com.
Hi, I'm Kelly Bush, and I own Marshall Street Bar and Grill. Whether you're out celebrating with friends or looking for a catered event, Marshall Street is your number one choice. With board games, pool, darts, pinball, and 3 large screen projectors, you'll never run out of things to do. Check out our huge menu with over 60 items, including vegan and vegetarian food, 18 taps, unique spirits, and great daily specials. We've got something for everyone. Come see old friends or make new ones at Marshall Street Bar and Grill. You always have a home at Marshall Street.
Welcome back to The Kelly Show.
Yes, and another episode of Getting Real with Bossy.
This podcast has been brought to you by Gallery Salon, where beauty and art collide. You can find out more at galleryhair.com.
So opening up and expanding to different cultures when you've grown up in like just a Black community, you've been taught like what happens in this house stays in this house.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing. Or if, white women come to the door, don't open it because it's CPS. All these crazy things. And we were like traumatized from it. So it was really on me. I had to be comfortable with trusting the process and stepping outside the box and knowing that no one's out to get me or no one's, going to hurt me, or people genuinely do care about you. Yes. Like you have friends who care about you and there's no catch to it or no gimmick. So that was like, and I don't know if you noticed, but like that was hard for me to like even experience, like even just having that overwhelming love. I'm looking like, oh, well, how long is it going to last?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is going to be here today and gone tomorrow, or is this short-term connections, or everything's for a reason in the season. So like nothing really stays in life. So I was like, well, don't open up about everything, because you can tell somebody all your secrets today and then tomorrow they're your enemy. And I was all over social media. Like all those things were like fears. And now having a trusted circle in a village and being able to open up to other families who knows that this is really a network where we help each other, we serve each other. We don't keep track of what I did for you and what you did for me. Because I'm going to be honest, like if it wasn't for my team and my circle, like me and my kids would have been homeless like long time ago. Long time ago. So I'm like, if it wasn't for them believing in me and like giving me that courage to feel supported and safe, like it's okay to mess up, it's okay to fall, like we got your back.
Right.
That's what really made me feel comfortable to take the next step and, move the nursery from outside the house into a space. I'm like, I feel supported, I feel okay. Like, so I'm going to go with the punches because I have a team of people who is like counting on me and they really want to see me do good. So now the passion became to like motivation, and it's like, all right, I got this. And, I'll make this person proud, make this person proud. And so it's just really interesting how you have a mind shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like my intentions literally for my home was just to open it up for children to come over and just to get a break from outside the house because they were subjected to being in a home the whole time because of COVID.
Right.
So I just wanted to give them interaction like with other children, if that makes sense. So I wanted them to be able to play with children and not just see mom and, dad, or there was families going through domestic violence issues. Like, at least the kids used to be able to go away to school.
Right.
And didn't have to see all those things. You know what I mean? And I was like, just so worried. Like, wow, what about these kids who be hungry at home and they go to school just to get those meals a day? Like,
I get the respite from abuse. Foster care, like, almost shut down because there were no calls because the mandated reporters were no longer seeing the kids on a regular basis.
You get it?
And so they were freaking out because they didn't know how to check up on the kids and get into the home. And so they weren't getting calls.
Right.
And that was a whole other level of childcare, was foster parents that needed to go to work couldn't send the foster kids anywhere. So they were willing to, like, you could get paid if you were a foster parent to like take in other foster kids just so these parents could go to work, because they're like, well, they're going to give up the kid because they can't not go to work. And the kid, you know what I mean? It was like this giant cycle of like services that were so important to maintain the safety of children that were just spiraling out of control.
All of that, you see, like that was a crisis in itself.
And bare minimum, I mean, play is so, just generalized play and socialization is so important in development. And these kids that weren't getting that are still having, talked to teachers today, they're still seeing issues from it. Well,
and they're saying that like the grades that my kids are in now, like the kids are so immature compared to the classes before them because they didn't have those experiences. They had less preschool, they had less free play, they had less park time. Like you don't just, you didn't take your kid. If you took your kid to the park, everybody stayed 6 feet apart. Like the kids weren't allowed to just like be kids.
All of those interactions.
So that's amazing that you opened your house for that, because
oh my God. And then like one person told one person and one person told one person. Let me tell you, I think I told you about the story and I got the phone call from the doctor. I had like this old beat up like 2005 Dodge Durango. It was like this car that I got. It was like a hoopty, but it got me from point A to point B, right? And it was really loud when it drove and it made like all these knocking noises. Like you can hear it coming from like 3 streets over. Right? And it was so funny to get out and the guys were like, "You too cute for that car." And I'm like, this car paid the bills. Like, how much you think cute is? But I got this call and it was from a doctor and she was just crying. I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "I only called this number because I feel like I won't be judged. I can't call anywhere else because if I do, I'm going to get medically disqualified from work and have to take, leave and step down and stuff." And I'm like, "Wait, where are you calling from?" And she was like, "Well, is this confidential?" I'm like, "Yes." And she was like, "Well, I'm a pediatrician." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And she was saying how she was being affected basically by COVID and like all the kids coming into her work and having to be mandated to work several hours. And she had a child with disabilities who like wore a helmet and was just disabled. And she was like, her husband wasn't there. He was at work. She was like, "I just need a break. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm very tired. And I want to know if it's not too much, if you can get my kid for like, I just need a moment. Like, not tomorrow, but right now." It was like 3 a.m. So I'm like, wow. It was 3 a.m. And my kid father was like, "Don't you think about it."
You're like,
and I was like, "Can I use your car?" He's like, no. I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Because it was in Hilton. I'm like, "Is my car gonna make it?" Because like it's been doing other stuff lately. I've been scared. And I'm like, I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna do it. And when I went there.
If you've been thinking about starting a podcast and you want to include interviews with people across town, Riverside.fm offers unbelievable high-quality recordings regardless of your or your guest internet quality. And it also gives you separate audio and video tracks for each person speaking. And unlike Zoom, you don't have to install anything on your computer, and your guests don't either. Head over to Riverside.fm and use promo code JazzyCast to get 60 free minutes of recording and 15% off a membership plan.
Here, I was so shocked because, first of all, it was a gated home. And I was like, and it was real loud. I was riding by, the lights were going on, so people were trying to figure out like who was in the neighborhood. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just great. They're going to think I'm a robber or something. Like, I was going slow to like lessen the little noise,
Right.
so that it wasn't be louder.
Probably made it sketchier.
And I'm like, this woman is not gonna give me this kid.
Scouting the houses.
And I'm like, this woman is not gonna give me her child when she sees my vehicle. Like,
Oh, she called you at 3 a.m. I bet she had no
and
problem
then
putting that
she's
kid in your car.
kind of like, wait, what? This is a scam? What are they kidnappers? Like, I really was thinking the worst, and then I wasn't sure of the right house. I'm like, it was a huge like mansion. It was like, oh no, this is the wrong house. I didn't think she would ever call my black behind for this. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Seriously. And when she came out, she was like, oh my God, you know, you're even beautiful in person. And she was like so warming and welcoming to me. She didn't even care about the vehicle. She just knew that she seen my face on Facebook. And then when she met me, she was relieved that it was really me and not a hoax, I think. So,
Right.
and then she gave me this, okay, her kid was like really heavy because I think he like his weight, he just proportions it to the left more. So she just like literally gave me him. And when she gave me him, kind of like this, I'm like, oh my God. So I was trying to like be strong and like hold it up. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to this car seat, which was like this medical car seat or something, but it was really big. So I had to put my seat down and it was a whole bunch to it. So when he got in, he just started screaming, crying, and like banging his head and just, so I'm like, oh my God. So I realized he wasn't even verbal. And
She
I'm
didn't
like,
tell you?
No. It was
She
literally,
was so
it was
far
literally
gone.
a here.
She was like, if I tell you these things, you're not going to take it.
It was literally a here and I'll call you. That's it. And she made me promise not to call anyone.
Right.
And I'm like, so then I got scared. I'm like, what if she's going to do
They
something
could
to
take
herself?
your kids.
No, I was more worried about her.
Right.
Well,
She
I'm
was
worried
so
about you. I'm
displaced.
like, they could have just like.
I wasn't worried. That wasn't a thought. My real fear was how displaced she was from giving me her child. And there was like no expression, no emotion. It was just like here. And I was like, what if she's going to do something to herself? Should I call crisis? Should I alert someone? And I'm like, oh, but I gave her my word. And it was so many like, and I prayed about like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to give her what she, you know, made me promise to. But I was worried like hell. Because I'm like, I know the look that she had. I'm like, I've been there before. I'm like, is she really just, you know? So it was weird because my son, who he has his own disadvantages, you know, like when I got home, my son was like, oh, he was really happy to see him. He was like, oh, Mom, you know, my son was going to Hillside Crestwood at the time. So he sees kids often. So seeing the kid wasn't like abnormal to him. He was okay with it. And he was like really warming and the kid stopped crying like instantly. He cried the whole way home from Hilton, all the way to like the city. And then like when my son got with him, they were like just like the best of friends. And all they were like the same height. The kid was really much older, although he appeared to be younger.
Right.
I didn't have to explain it to my son. I feel like my son helped me, actually.
Yeah.
He helped me because I was like going to freak out. Like, I don't know what to do. So my baby father comes downstairs. He sees this kid and he's like,
is he ours now? Is he staying?
It was just really different experience. And I got worried when I didn't hear from the mom. Like the next day, it was dinner time, evening.
Wow.
I didn't hear from her. I'm like, okay, so I had him from last night around 4. We got back home and it's the next day, it's evening. I don't know where she is. I called her phone. She's not answering. So I did begin to panic. And I said, well, you know, another overnight won't hurt. He's doing good in the environment. I didn't accept any other children because I wanted to be able to give him all of my attention that day. So I had to tell the moms, like, we weren't accepting kids a day, which was really hard too. But they understood.
Sure.
So like the kid had all of our attention, me and my kids. He had everyone's attention. And my son was like communicating with him and stuff. And you want more food? I'm like, how do you know what that means? Because I don't even know what that means. And everything I kept trying to give him, he was like throwing. And then he liked the yogurt. And I'm like, well, is he lactose? Does he have any allergies? I didn't know.
Right, because he didn't come with a list of, So he came with a handoff.
He kept peeing on himself. So I had to keep changing. Like, okay, so he needs a pull-up. I'm like, Then I didn't even know that pull-ups came in like large and extra large and stuff, because I only knew like 5T, 3T,
Right.
4T. I'm like, what sizes were these? He cannot fit. So I got it. So long story short, mom called the next morning at 8:00. And she was like, what is your address? And she sounded like all chippery. And I'm like, okay, this woman's getting high. Like in my head, I'm like,
can I let you drive?
No, I'm like, So I'm thinking, okay, she did something. Just being very judgmental. I didn't know. I'm like, it was so weird. When she came, she like a whole new person. Like her hair was done. She went to a hair appointment, by the way. Like that next day, she used it for straight self-care. She was not worried. Okay. Her hair had highlights. She did really good. Like she came from the gym. She had like a gym outfit and stuff. It was weird because I was behind on rent. I didn't tell anyone that I was behind on rent. I'm like, I'm going to find a way to pay it. I don't know how, but I'm going to find a way. And she tried to give me this envelope. I'm like, oh no. She's like, oh no, take it. I'm like, oh no. And she was like, no, please. Like, it's literally just a gift. It's nothing. Just take it. And I'm like, well, what is it? She's like, it's a thank you. It's really a thank you. So as soon as I opened it, it was like just hundreds in there. And like, I just broke down crying. And she's like, I'm sorry. Did I do something wrong? I'm like, I was behind on rent. And she said, well, how much is your rent? At the time, it was $950. And she's like, well, did you pay last month? I'm like, no. She was like, so you got to pay this month? This month is like in a week. I'm like, yeah. She was like, well, it's $3,000 in there. And I was like,
oh my God.
Like, that was just like proof that God shows up in ways, even when you're like blind and don't know how you're going to do it. 'Cause I didn't know anything about taking care of a child. I didn't even know what his condition was called, first of all.
Right, no information.
He wasn't verbal. And it was just different. She was so grateful and so happy about it. And like, I didn't do it even expecting anything from it. Like, I didn't even know anything was going to come from it. I just don't think it's a regular, assignment like normal that I do. I have assignments. And that actually ended up setting me straight for like last month, 2 months ahead. And I was like, who but God? Like, and some people are like not spiritual. I'm like, well, the universe or whatever, like
honestly,
it came around.
Mm-hmm. I can't stop going back to how you described her when you showed up as a stranger in a beat up Dodge Durango and she just handed off her child. And like, if you hadn't answered that phone or if you had gone back to bed and like maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Could have been a much different story.
Like, I can't even.
Yeah.
So it's not just your life that got changed, especially when you like describe the difference.
Right. I mean, you're talking with a woman with means.
First of all, like off of Avenue D, like off St. Paul, like smack dead in like the war zone.
We can edit that.
No, we're not. No, it's okay. Listen, everyone knows where I live. They literally come there for like stuff for the community, so that's cool. But no, seriously, like just knowing that she was even comfortable, like I know she was scared. Mm-hmm. Number one, like, and do you know what kind of car? Like she had like a Jag. Like, girl, you can't bring that here. And I told her when she was leaving, I'm like, don't bring that back over here. You're gonna have them rob me, thinking like I have rich friends, right? She's like, well, you do. I'm like, no, don't do that.
We'll meet somewhere from now on.
It was funny because like she came all sporty. I'm like, woman, when I gave you the address, I know you put it in Google search. Like,
well, yeah. I would have to place a bet that she did not know how to get to your house.
Right? No, seriously. And she was just totally like.
Have you watched him since?
No, not since.
Oh, because COVID, they're back in school.
Yep, they're back in school. And he has respite care, which he does utilize as well. So, but I do speak to her still.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's just really weird because you just never know, like when you do something, what comes from it. Mm-hmm. And just having faith. So like my message always to moms is like, even when you're going through stuff and like you feel like it's the worst and your lowest, that's actually where you birth like your $1 million like ideas or like your huge visions. Like they say diamonds are made like in the rough. Like that's true. Mm-hmm. Like until you like hit rock bottom, you have nowhere else to go but up. So think about it. Like if you're at your lowest, you can't go any lower.
It's good firm ground to jump off of.
I'm just saying,
it's rock bottom.
And don't worry about like critiquing, because I'm gonna tell you, this year I finally got it. It took some time to get it, but like things don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have like a perfect business plan, because you can have something on paper and plan and it doesn't even go that way. Mm-hmm. By the way,
it never.
So does. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. Like literally, just start somewhere, anywhere. It don't have to be the whole huge vision. Just start like with just one step. Like just take one step and then see from there, like how it can go.
Yeah, just and ask for help.
Which is the hardest thing, though, because when you're used to being independent and doing things on your own, you become conditioned to not ask for help.
And I like to think that technology's helped. Like, I know you get a lot of messages, like text and messenger and stuff.
Well, social media isn't
so. No. I just need to like reach out, like, so you won't have to make the phone call.
True.
Talk to somebody. You can be like, I'm feeling really bad, and you can just like type it, and then you didn't actually say it out loud, and then nobody answers you. It didn't really happen.
But how many times have you confided in someone and like you've heard it, like if came up and it wasn't really confidential?
Right. Well, and honestly, like I'm at a point in my life where I've been through so much shit that I just feel like it's easier just to throw it all out there so that it's out there and I don't have to worry about who knows what.
Mm-hmm. But was there ever a point in time like you were ashamed of things?
No, but I'm about to be 45, and it's a fairly recent thing. Bossy's definitely helped. I mean, that's the whole premise, is being in a group where we could be honest with each other. And a lot of people are really worried about even sharing there because they don't want their hardships to become public knowledge, even though it's a private group. And I've shared things on Bossy that have gotten out, through different people that were in the group. And so I'm just like, you know what? It just is easier if I just acknowledge this is where I am and this is what I've been through. And because it's so hard to carry all of that and worry. But yeah, for saving AJ, I want to go back to the messages that you get. So are you still getting regular, like, do you still get messenger notifications and text notifications from women in crisis or families in crisis?
Yes, all the time.
So you are the call center.
Yeah, but there's like people who helps too. Like there's volunteers. Actually, it's so interesting. So like I start off with my clients as actually being a client and needing help. But then when it gets to a certain point, they're like, oh, I want to help Miss Nyeshia. And I'm like, okay. Or can I talk to mom, let them know like how I started? And, so actually, I have a few moms who are now assisting and helping other moms. But it was a point in time they couldn't help themselves.
Right.
So I like the fact that the call center is from people with experience and of understanding and knowing, because without being able to relate, to certain things. Now, you don't have to have went through the same traumas as me and same struggles to relate to me. Let's make that clear. You don't have to. But you have to at least know what it's like to have felt hopeless before. And some people are so like in denial. They want to be perfect. They don't want to talk about the things like they went through and the bad, humiliating stuff. And I'm like, okay, listen, this is what it is, because transparency is key. And you never know, like, what you share, how it may help someone else. Like, you can imagine you holding something so deep, that you're so humiliated by or don't want to talk about. You're just holding it inside. But that very thing you're holding in can, like, save someone's life. So it's actually going to be better coming out. Because once you put it out, all the criticism you're afraid about, you literally just impacted someone. So it's like being selfish to not open
being
up.
Hopeless, hearing that there's another person that has felt that way.
Yeah.
And whatever feeling that is, that rock bottomness, and knowing that, like, because when you're in it, you feel so alone and isolated and like you're the only one and I can't say this out loud. And then when you hear back that, like, no, that's a normal feeling, or that's lots of people feel that way. And this is how I felt. And this is when I was going through it. Having that open communication, I feel like, is so uplifting, even if it only uplifts you like a tiny point. It gives you that momentum of like, I'm not alone.
Seriously.
And then you got through it. Maybe I can get through it. And maybe that's another little tiny point up. And it's so empowering. And I think that that's what frustrates me in the world, is people not sharing the down parts. because that's the stuff we need to share.
Right.
I remember when I had my kids, I was like, what do you mean? No one told me I was going to fart every time I walked for 3 months.
No,
it would have been
seriously.
nice to know ahead of time. And nobody told me that even if you don't breastfeed, you're going to spew milk. Like so many things people don't tell you about. And like how the feelings and, even getting older, like perimenopause. You'll probably hear me drop that in all kinds of podcasts because why does anybody talk about perimenopause?
At all, actually. Now that you say it, like they
talk about menopause barely. They talk about menopause like they talk about childbirth. Like it's a thing you go through. There's hot flashes.
That's it.
Like you might not sleep.
Right. And it's with business too. And that's one of the reasons we have Bossy is because we would go to these events or listen to these panels and all this great stuff. I'm like, I don't need help with how to be excited when things are going well. I need help with knowing what to do when I've got no money or I owe all of these horrible things that come with being a business owner. Like you have to be able to talk about that stuff.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode, check out the Healthy Illness Podcast with me, Kelly Marie, as we build healthy relationships while living with mental health conditions. I'm diagnosed and live with borderline personality disorder, major depression, and generalized anxiety. And despite those diagnoses, I've been able to live a full life. I have healthy relationships, a great career, and my mission is to help you do the same. So join me for Healthy Illness Podcast. New episodes every Monday on the Jazzcast Pros Network, found on the podcast player you're listening to right now. Be the light.
Oh my God. So I'm so happy you brought that up. Because I have something to say, right?
Yes.
I went to this meeting, right? And it was just different organizations there. And this one organization said they got like 1.2 million in like funding. And like everyone was going on. I'm like, wait, what did you do with it? Like, I was curious to know, like, what the hell with all that money? What do you do? Like, I really wanted to understand like what it was. And she said, oh, we provide like services to families and resources. I'm like, well, like what? Because I do that. Right. And she's like, well, referrals for housing. I'm like,
referrals.
And then she's like,
not even the housing?
Hold up. And then like vouchers for furniture. I'm like, oh, so they get new furniture. She's like, well, unless it's donated, so I'm like, oh, okay. So like, and I was really being curious.
Sure. So
my question was, well, how many families have you helped last year? And like the whole room went cricket. Like I wasn't supposed to ask. And I was like, oh shoot, do we not speak about these things? Because people ask me all the time and I just have a database I go in and just,
right.
It automates the numbers. Like it's not something to figure out. So she said 9 families.
Wow.
And I said,
how many people are on your payroll if you're having 9 families to get referrals?
Hold on, I was so confused because I'm not even going to tell you a week how many families I help. I just felt overwhelmed by the information. I was like, okay. So then the next lady, she tried to like get off topic. And she's like, oh, so in house saving Asia, how do you sustain? And I'm like, well, I'm going to be honest. Even with having the children turning around, right, and coming around, I got a single grant at the time. It was only for like $5,000. I forgot. It wasn't even a grant. It was a donation to me that I used for a grant, actually. And it was someone in Boston, but I forget her name.
Really?
Now I forget her name. Oh my God, it was years ago though. But like she wrote me a check.
For $5,000?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to reach out to her actually. Yeah, she did. And it was literally for me though. Like she gave it to like help me. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know what to do with this.
She understood that you needed financial assistance with your own personal life and family because of all the work you do. And you took that money and put it back into saving Asia.
Yes. Because there's a catch though. So think about this, right? So the bare necessities that you need to like be a mom or raise a children, the roof over your head, food in the fridge, clothes on your back, right? And they have their tablets, right? It's like there's a bare minimum. The things that we get so used to like providing and having like for our families, we forget like the other children who don't have as many things or the blessings or the challenges, the privilege of eating out every night or having food catered. Like There are literally families who make a pot of rice to make it stretch for the week.
Right.
So with doing the work, I felt so like guilty for even saying I was broke. 'Cause I'm like, well, you went and brought a $700 TV like just last year. Like all these things that I was thinking about, I was using money for. I'm like, they have no value. They hold no weight. Like you could have done so much more with it. And just know you go buy the kids something expensive device and they break it anyways. Like none of those things even matter.
Right.
So just knowing that running Saving AJ's to sustain it, they will think you think like millions of dollars and stuff. And I know organizations tell me like, you need to be like making a lot of money. And like, but just to be honest, food is donated. Diapers, wipes, milk, all those things are like ran on donations. Of course, you have to pay bills. The rent is like $1,200 a month. Then you got to pay for like, internet and all these other things that you want that are like important for the children. Electronic devices, they all have like laptops there and just a bunch of things. But if you really get down to it, to literally sustain and run a whole crisis nursery and organization and to be able to serve, I would say 35 children a day. That's just minimum with me. And if you say that for the week, that's how many kids you have. I've broken the cost down so bare minimum. It's literally like $5 per child. And that's just for them to have a meal, like in that 3-hour setting.
Right.
So
when if you had $1.2 million, how many kids could you help at $5 a child?
You understand?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So those are the things that I think about when running the business. And I'm like, okay, so to run a business, people think you have to have like finances and so much money. But just to be honest with you, that comes with a point of, I don't want to offend anyone.
You won't.
But you can like not have something before and then get something and then forget that you didn't have before. And then you just want more. And then you want more. And then like before getting like 50,000 would have been a whole bunch to you. And now you're like, oh, that's nothing.
Right.
And it's like they lose sight of things. And I'm noticing that. And like, I don't judge anyone for that, but like, I don't want to get content or I don't want that to dictate like how I feel about me or I don't want to forget where I came from and then just make it seem as if you need so much to do so much. Because I've done so much with so little. I just got to be so honest. Like I've done so much with so little that like I just feel so grateful, like humbly grateful to know that I never got lost sight in the vision of doing what I'm doing. But now I am to the point for reality to kick in that when you do have expenses and bills that needs to be paid, having like financial stability, being able to actually go to your bank and like pull the money and just do it without worrying about how you're going to do it, that's important.
Right.
But actually having it and not giving back or not being of service to others, it can even be information. It doesn't even have to be financial. You can have information that can help this business owner, but you're my consultant, so now I'm paying you for the information. I get it. A business is a business, but it's like we just have to do better, like do better with helping each other with what we have. Because not for nothing, like there's some really smart business owners. When you figure out a way to do something, we sometimes sleep on that, but that's really like a gift. Like that's really like something huge. And like if you just give that one person, that pointer or that tip as well, they can use it and take off. I have found that people will give you information in order for you to do what you're doing, just not better than them.
It's like getting grandma's pasta sauce recipe and they leave an ingredient out. And they're like, why would you give me the recipe if you're going to leave an ingredient out? Yeah. It's like, why don't you want me to be successful? Yeah. So, but now with me giving so much information, I've taught like people so much stuff that I've knew that I didn't even know that was so important, like call centers. I've made 3 call centers like for people. And I didn't know that was a huge thing. And I was talking to someone from a call center agency in Rochester and they pay like $15,000 a month. And I'm like, are you crazy? I did my own.
And I ain't gonna tell you how much it costs. But no, seriously. And like, they really, people will pay for something that they want. So you will pay for a service because you actually need that help.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how expensive it may sound, but then there's someone like right there in your circle who can do the same thing that for some reason just is not going to say they can do the same thing or whatever the case is. So I find myself now, if someone's talking about business needs or something they need and I can do it, oh, I can help you with that. And then they're like, really? I've changed so many people like systems they use.
And do you ask them for donations to Saving AJ?
No.
Be like, well, you know what you could do? You could give me some diapers.
But it always comes around because they're very supportive. Because think about it, you have someone like in those kind of needs, they're going to always support you. You know what I mean? So I just wish that there was more people, or not more people. There's a lot of women who actually help. Let me not say that because I think I'm surrounded by all of them. But they're like on the upcoming rising business owners who aspire to be. And they're so stuck for so long. Like I was for so long. Because they don't believe in themselves. It's simply just being nervous or being scared. And your passion. I didn't think Saving AJ was actually going to be a business, by the way. I didn't start it as a business.
Right.
So I never knew. I always knew that I would have to work. Which, by the way, I just quit my job at the domestic violence shelter. Which was so hard for me. It was very hard for me because I was working to actually fund my program.
But not to
pay my bills.
Not to pay your bills, to pay Saving AJ's bills.
Seriously.
I was actually going to bring that up because you hadn't really mentioned that yet.
No, for real. I was working like 24-hour shifts, guys.
We have slightly disagreed through the time I've known you about how you get paid.
Yeah, I would bust my behind. I would get off work at 8 and go right into nursery at 9 and be there till like 7 at night. So some things that you haven't
mentioned in this discussion. You have relocated people out of state and taken them and stayed with them and helped them set up their lives.
Yes.
You have helped, I don't even know how many women and families or fathers and families. You have found people childcare. You have found people a place to live. You have found people furniture and appliances, clothing. You take clothing donations for moms. You spend so many hours of your day, and not even just like actual like working hours, but there's the mental capacity. You're getting text messages and voicemails and Facebook messengers with heavy, excuse my French, fucking shit.
No, heavy.
Like heavy. Like people are like opening up to you and you're carrying that with you as a woman, as a business owner, as a mom. And how much does Saving AJ pay you?
So,
say it out loud.
So
say
wait.
Come on.
Hold on. Wait. So it's a new year, right? It's a new year. And I do want to say something for New Year, because if I actually go down that memory lane that you just put up, I'm going to be like depressed. No, but seriously, like, I'm going to exhale all that because that was like the list.
Before you answer that, let's take a break. Happy Mother's Day. Come back for part 2 on May 29th and hear more about Nyeshia's story with Saving AJ. If you're compelled to donate or support Saving AJ in any way, please reach out to savingaj.agency. That is their website, and you can learn more, donate, see the wish list, and contribute to all of the hard work that Nyeshia is doing. We're excited to share the rest of her story on May 29th, so make sure that you're subscribed. Be bold, be brave, and be the boss. Thank you.
This podcast has been brought to you by Gallery Salon, where beauty and art collide. You can find out more at galleryhair.com.
If you are enjoying this episode, subscribe to the Heart of the Hustle podcast on the Jazzcast Pros Network, available right here on the podcast player you're listening to now. The podcast to help you turn your side hustle into a profitable small business. I am your host, Motivation, an award-winning business owner and coach in Rochester, New York. My mission is to teach you all of the things I wish I knew while starting a business and help you avoid the pitfalls of entrepreneurship. Subscribe to the Heart of the Hustle podcast, and remember, nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. Over and out.